Robert Lewandowski has been an absolute legend for Bayern Munich since he joined from Borussia Dortmund, but there might come a day where he does leave. Who would be the best alternatives? Let's find out. Welcome to Talking Bayern, the one-stop shop for Bayern Munich content on YouTube. Today we'll be looking through possible alternatives to Robert Lewandowski should he leave, and I think this is becoming a greater possibility, especially in this summer and the summer after. I can see Robert Lewandowski leaving. I would hate for this to happen. He's been such a good player, so many moments for Bayern, and he's obviously brought us so much success. But still think back to those 5 goals in 9 minutes. That's probably my favorite moment with Robert Lewandowski, and obviously it was earlier on in his time with Bayern Munich, but still so many great memories. I don't want to say anything because I know he's still here, and hopefully he plays for another 5 years and brings another Champions League at least. But should he leave, these are some players I think would be a solid alternative. But just to make it clear, there is no one I would rather have in the world as my striker than Robert Lewandowski. Should he leave, we would need to bring in a massive signing to fill in those shoes. Will some of those names be able to match Lewandowski's success for the last 5 years? Probably not. But here are the best alternatives we could feasibly sign as a replacement. First off, I want to give an honorable mention to Dusan Vlahovic. I really think he would have been an excellent signing. Of course, he went to Juventus, sadly. I think he's going to be an excellent signing for Juventus. Great job of them picking him up from Fiorentina. I was obviously a bit jealous of that transfer, but of course, it just didn't really make the right time for us. We still have Lewandowski, and hopefully we still have Lewandowski, but it just didn't work out. I would have loved to see Vlahovic at Bayern, but maybe one day. So first off, I'm going to go Harry Kane. He's obviously been one of the best players in the Premier League over the past 5 years or so. He's been an incredible striker, and at only 28 years old, he's still well in his prime, with maybe his best years still to come. Obviously, we can look at Robert Lewandowski. Obviously, his best years have come in his 30s. Obviously, still young into the 30s, but still, I think Harry Kane is very similar to Robert Lewandowski. He's as proven as a player can be, honestly, and a similar build to the strikers we like. Very similar build to Robert Lewandowski and such forth. So I think he can do it all. He's not the quickest in the world, but he can certainly pass, shoot. He had, I think, the most goals and assists in the Premier League last year. Of course, his contract expires in 2024, but he wants to leave Spurs. He's valued at 110 million USD, so probably just under 100 million euros. I think he'd be a great signing. I know he wants to leave Spurs. He probably wants to stay in the Premier League. He is English. I don't know how many players from England want to come back to the Bundesliga late in their career, but hopefully it does happen. I think it'd be a great signing if Robert Lewandowski should leave. Next, Erling Haaland. This is probably the most obvious name to mention and maybe the hottest prospect in the world right now, alongside with obviously Kylian Mbappe. Of course, at just 21 years old, he's already one of the best strikers in the world and has already dominated the Bundesliga. You can just see his scoring rate in the Bundesliga. He's scoring a goal game. He's so good for Dortmund. He's so good in the Champions League. He's honestly might be the next Ronaldo, the next Mr. Champions League. He's scoring so much in that league. Obviously, that didn't happen this year because he was out. But when healthy, he is unstoppable. However, there are doubts over his ability to stay healthy. Obviously, a big player like that who runs at that kind of speed, he's going to get in collisions. He might just have some injury problems along his career. Obviously, this is just early on, but you can kind of see the kind of players that do get injured. Throwing that kind of weight and body around at that kind of speed, you're going to get hurt. And Bayern heavily rely on one striker. Obviously, we don't really have a backup to Robert Lewandowski apart from Choupo-Moting, who we all know is not a first team quality player. So a player that might miss half the season one year is a big factor to consider. I'm not sure we can take that risk. Obviously, he can do it all. Incredible pace and speed. He is unstoppable. However, some weaknesses are that he's semi-one-footed, doesn't have a great right foot, and doesn't have great passing ability. Obviously, it would cost the most out of any of these names that I will mention in this list. But his contract expires in 2024. He's currently valued at 165 million USD. So, this could be, upwards of 100 million euros, I would expect. Next is Lothar Martinez. Obviously, a very solid all-around striker at the age of just 24 years old. At 24, there isn't, as much room to improve as some other names I will mention. But he's already a great striker. Won the league with Inter last year. He scored 17 goals in Serie A last season, and will probably get about the same this season. He's at 11 right now. However, he struggled in the Champions League last season. He hasn't got a goal contribution in 7 Champions League games this season. You'd expect him to get, at least 2 or 3 goal contributions on a bad season. So there are some doubts about Martinez. If he's as good enough quality for Bayern, I'm not saying he's not good quality, but I'm not sure he would satisfy us in the long term. I think we might be disappointed with him. I'm sure he would do a decent enough job, but I don't think he's on the level of Lewandowski, obviously, and I don't think he ever will be. So I think we wouldn't really be satisfied with him over time. So that's kind of the reason I would shy a bit more away from him. But his contract expires in 2026, and he's valued at 88 million USD, so about 80 million euros. I don't see this one happening. I know Inter wouldn't sell him for cheap, and I don't think that he's just the perfect option for us right now. Obviously, I like his kind of build, but I just don't see it happening. He's an alternative. I don't think I'd be mad about signing Martinez, but I think we can do better, and I think I would want a different name. Next, I kind of want to briefly discuss Kylian Mbappe and why he is not on this list of alternatives. Obviously, he's an incredible player. However, if he's not staying at PSG, I know it's almost certain that he's going to Real Madrid on a free. Obviously, if we could pick up Kylian Mbappe on a free, I would be obviously ecstatic. I just don't see it happening. He's not really our build-up striker as well. He's just super pacey. Obviously, he can score and he can pass and everything like that as well. But he's not kind of a natural number 9. The kind of standard of your number 9 you usually see. I don't think he'd be fit. I know he's not really rumored with us at all either, so I don't see it happening. And next we go to Jonathan David, another League One talent, one of the hottest talents in Europe right now. He is heavily linked with several clubs, and in Serie A and in Premier League, but just 22 years old and having a breakout season and with 12 goals in League One. But even more impressively is helping Canada to their best international performances ever. I'm Canadian, so obviously I've been watching a lot of the games, so I might be a little bit biased here, but Canada is set to qualify for the World Cup for the second time ever, and finish top of their group ahead of giants like Mexico and United States thanks to Jonathan David. I mean, they haven't lost a single game in this entire qualifying stretch, so that's really, really impressive. Obviously, a lot of thanks to David there. And while he has slowed down his pace in League One this season, obviously he came out of the gates very, very hot. He would still be an excellent transfer in my opinion, but might need one more year of proving himself before I'm willing to dish out a lot of money on him. He definitely would be a cheaper option. Obviously, contract expires in 2025 and valued about 50 million euros. So, definitely a cheaper option, but maybe in another year he proves himself a bit more, and then I'm willing to do it. I just don't know for sure right now that he would be that player for us. I think he's good. I think he's a lot of potential, but I think I need one more year to really see if I want him. Obviously, I don't think we're buying him this summer anyways. The next one is Kareem Ariemi. Obviously, this one makes a lot of sense to me. He's very young at 20 years old, but has shown signs of brilliance already. He has 3 goals and 2 assists in 7 Champions League games this season, and 14 goals in just 19 league appearances this season. Obviously, we've seen how good he is in that game against Bayern. It was the 1-1 draw, and we'll see him again in about a week's time. But he's already playing for the German national team after making his debut back in September. He's already scored for Die Mannschaft, and I don't know, it just seems like the right fit for me. I know he's kind of like more of that Mbappe build rather than like a Lewandowski build, but he's born in Munich. It just seems like the dream transfer to me. However, it seems a bit more likely that he was going to Borussia Dortmund this summer. I think far more likely he goes to Dortmund this summer. It's been heavily rumored. His contract expires in 2024, so I think Salzburg's going to want to make the sale on him. He's valued at 35 million euros, about 38.5 million USD. I'd love to have Ariemi. I do think he's another player we want to wait one more year to see if we can get him. But I think he will be sold to Dortmund this summer. Hopefully he gives us an easy time if we're playing against him for the next 6 years or so. And then lastly, this one might shock some people, but I honestly really like this transfer. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm a bit of a Ronaldo fan, and I think his mentality would work well at Bayern for a season or two, not much longer than that. I don't know. He wants to win titles, and there's no better destination, in the world, honestly, to win titles than at Bayern. Plus, I think he would love to be a top goal scorer in another league. He's already done that in the Premier League, La Liga, and Serie A. I think doing that in just another league would just solidify his legacy. Obviously, he wants to win titles. He wants to win Champions Leagues. He is clutch in the Champions League. And on a team like Man United, I'm not sure he's going to get any titles. And obviously, we want to win Champions League titles, so it just makes sense for us as well. There might be a bit of a clash of personality. I know he's a big personality, but it's a risk I would be willing to take. Obviously, he would add to that Hollywood FC a bit, but he would be a bit cheap. Obviously, we might be able to get him for free in the summer of 2023 for a 2-year contract or a 1-year contract. Honestly, I think however long we can get him would be ideal. His contract expires in 2023, so next summer he's currently valued at 38.5 million USD, so around 35 million euros. But he's still one of the best goal scorers in the world at 37 years old. Obviously he's been a little bit off this season in the Premier League for Man United, but I think it's just because of bad service mostly. I've been watching a bit of the Premier League, and I do think if he's with players like Sané and mostly Muller, I think if Cristiano and Muller could link up, that would be insane. I think, obviously Lewandowski has been doing a great job, but I think Ronaldo would do a very, very good job as well should Lewandowski leave. And I don't know, I think it'd just be cool to have, potentially one of the best players ever to, maybe potentially retire at Bayern. I don't really see this one happening, but if it did happen, I do think this would work out. He's as proven as they can get, maybe even, the best player ever, depending on what side you go on. As one of the greatest players of all time, I'm not sure how he could make our team any worse. And I think, if we want to wait maybe a year or two before we go in for a younger option like Florian Wirtz or, Kareem Ariemi, maybe this is a good patch over if we can get Ronaldo in, maybe 2023 to 2024, 2025. And then we see kind of what's out there. I don't know, if there's the right thing out there right now for us. I know Haaland and Kane, I think would be two excellent, probably the best alternatives behind, obviously, keeping Robert Lewandowski. I'm not sure Martinez is it. Obviously, David and Adiemi are a bit less proven. So, this might be a little bit of a temporary fix, and I think it might work for us. Be interested to see if there's any names that you thought I missed. Obviously, there might be some reasons. So if there's a really good player, a really good striker in the world right now that he was not on this list for, I'm sure it's for a reason. Either, contract is long and he's obviously happy at that club. So these were kind of a mix of players I could see leaving their clubs and players I think would fit in well at Bayern and are obviously Bayern level talent. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and a comment. And if you want to see more Bayern Munich content that's in the future, please subscribe to this channel. Hope to see you on the next one. Until then, Mia Samia.